to the Redeem the Light Disaster Preparedness Panel Series, streaming live here at HMS in Houston. This is your central hub for disaster preparedness, real-time updates, and community action. Today, we're proud to host our second session in this important series, and I'm thrilled to announce that our discussions and resources from Redeem the Light have now reached over 1 million households across Houston and beyond. That's a powerful milestone, a true testament to the urgency of being prepared and the collective power of our communities. We remain committed to moving proactively, connecting voices from neighborhoods across Houston, including those like North Forest and Northwood Manor that have faced some of the most significant disaster challenges. As your moderator, I'm honored to guide these conversations. Through my work as a cultural worker and community historian and a writer for the North Forest Community News, my mission is really to uplift the stories and solutions from Houston's diverse neighborhoods. With an open dialogue and shared learning, we continue to build resilience rooted in our city's history, culture, and strength. The Redeem the Light panel series is held here at HMS 7305 Navigation Street, with one more session to come on November 1st, followed by our award gala in December. We invite everyone, panelists, community experts, and viewers, to stay engaged and help us turn today's challenges into opportunities for tomorrow. I'm excited to bring together this group focused on strengthening community preparedness and resilience. Let's start by getting to know everyone. So, Mr. Oliver Lee. Yeah. I know your story. How do you get involved in helping families recover from disasters?
First of all, I'm really happy to be here and honored to be able to be on this panel, to be able to speak to you guys. My story starts 8 years ago. My family, we live in Katy, Texas, and we were going through our first hurricane together. Hurricane Harvey came and dumped thousands, if not millions or trillions of gallons of water on the city. Our house got flooded, and we were completely unprepared for what was coming. We weren't prepared for the crooked contractors who came and preyed upon people who were in shock and trauma. I wasn't prepared when the insurance company called. So we were completely unprepared in everything. I didn't like that feeling. There's a great author, and her name is Brené Brown, and she has this great quote that says, "Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation." I always tell people we felt very vulnerable with our family, so I started innovating. And I wanted to create services that would be able to help homeowners not only be ready before, during, and after a storm, but I also wanted to make sure that we could recover that much quicker, being able to keep contractors honest and honest contractors efficient. And my home book was born, a service dedicated to empower homeowners for just that fact.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I wanted to go over to you, Danny Asberry L. So you played a key role in the development of this 12-point disaster preparedness plan, right? So what inspired you to create that program, to develop the plan?
Thank you for that, Will. Yeah, I just got tired of Houston getting beat up. You know, when you go through Harvey, you had Rita, you had Derecho, you had the freeze, you had all these other disasters, and then finally Beryl came and just knocked us all completely out. I wanted to create a situation where we could be more proactive than we were reactive. When I was in the military, we were always proactive. We always thought about the worst scenarios, and we always put plans in place to where we can just do something about that. And I found it shocking when our city wasn't ready. We have the energy capital of the world here. We have the energy corridor, right? All those companies are here. But that energy, being put into energy, it just baffled me as to why we weren't prepared for natural disaster. Energy and natural disaster go hand in hand. And so this is one of the reasons why I didn't see the logic in that. And so I gathered some of my friends from NASA, friends from the military, some of my friends from the creative sector, from the disaster preparedness sector. I got all these people together to help me to create a plan from the people. You know, it's people over infrastructure, people over poles, people over all of these mechanical things. If you start with the person, then you can fix the rest, right? If we know to work with nature rather than against it, then we can definitely see a better future.
Thanks for that, Danny. Now I want to go over and move into Houston's preparedness landscape. So, Oliver, the question's for you. Sometimes there's small things that matter. Can you recall a time when having a plan, checklist, made a difference in you and your family's recovery following a disaster or some of these awesome weather events?
Yeah, of course, following Harvey, and Dan mentioned a lot of the other natural disasters that came upon Houston. Being able to have my home book services created for my house really prepared me and my family to be able to weather all the storms that were coming later on. Able to see that after Harvey, the contractor used what we created, and after he repaired our home, he literally said, Oliver, we finished your house 8 weeks before we would have finished anyone else's house because you had these plans in place. Being able to have the right things, to be able to get your family to be disaster ready, having your home mapped out to be able to recover that much, those things really helped us.
Thank you for that. Now, Danny, I wanted to get your thoughts on some practical solutions that could be applied to the larger community. So, in your view, when communities have clear, actionable steps that they can take following a disaster, how important is that, or what happens even if those steps aren't officially recognized by the city?
Well, actionable steps are very important because they create a framework in which people can interact with the world around them, right? If you have certain actionable steps as far as getting plans recognized or working with your community, working with your civic clubs, working with several entities that are out there that can help the people, these things are very important. Creating relationships is very important. And those things are in the actionable steps. Your city, your county, the federal agencies that are out there that you know of, they definitely play a part. So these actionable steps in knowing where funding is or what departments can fund certain things, this is all important to make sure that people can be okay. We're in the business of not only saving lives, but also capitalizing on resources so that way all can share.
Now, thanks for that. Thanks for that clarification, Danny. Oliver, in your view,
Stay prepared.
Stay prepared.
Stay prepared.
Stay prepared.
Welcome to Solel International's 12-Step Energy Resilience Plan, your ultimate guide to disaster preparedness. Let's hear what our community has to say.
This plan gave me the tools I needed for our local community.
It's a game changer for emergency preparedness communication.
Real-time updates keep us all connected and informed.
I recommend it to all disaster response teams.
Join the movement towards resilience today. Be prepared and stay informed with the 12-Step Energy Resilience Plan. Visit us now.
Join us today. Be a panelist member and change maker with the citywide people-centric proactive disaster preparedness plan with redeemthelight.com.
Types of tools or community efforts can move the needle as it relates to what types of tools or community efforts can move the needle as it relates to homeowners facing disasters. Maybe that's a community level as opposed to the individual household. But just in your view, what are some of those tools? What are some of those community efforts?
Community efforts, I think it all boils down to communication. Communication and being able to communicate with the right lines that are available to homeowners, making those lines of communication clear, who you should call in certain situations, where you should call, how to begin to move the needle by talking to the right people is so important. Two words that definitely resonate with me is being able to prevent and also being proactive in getting everything ready. And that means every single household being able to have the right information handy. On a community level, yeah, definitely communication. Should be able to have the materials, in other words, the information needed to be able to call, but also the equipment and the things necessary to be able to be ready before, during, and after storms. And that comes just through education. Things like Redeem the Light, everything that Danny's doing is so important for communication. So I definitely appreciate this, and everything that is happening with Redeem the Light is really resonating with me. And it's going to get more and more people prepared. So when storms are coming, which are things we cannot prevent, we definitely know that households will be that much more ready once they tune into programs like this.
Thanks, Oliver. Now, as we look ahead, Danny, I wanted to get your thoughts on just one or two things as it relates to items that you see in the landscape. What's something that you would suggest in terms of changes that a city can take as they prepare for additional disasters? Like, in your mind, what's one change in the landscape of preparedness that they can take to move forward?
Well, the biggest change in the landscape of preparedness is perception. We have to make sure that we respect the genius that's coming from the people of the city. So whether if you're in Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, wherever you may be, you have to respect the intellect that comes from these neighborhoods, right, that keep getting hit. I'm a child of a neighborhood that its voice has not been heard for years. And so because when you don't get that type of access, you become creative. And you are able to create these wonderful ideas, get these great people together, and then you're able to present it to the place where you are from. And so if these cities respect that genius that comes out of hard labor, that comes out of the need to improve, I think that is the biggest action. And when I talk about relationships, I want to segue Mr. Fred Woods in here as well, because he's from the Northwood Manor Civic Club, and the Northwood Manor area is the pilot for the disaster preparedness plan that we've come up with. And so yeah, I just wanted to kind of segue him in on this particular discussion as well.
Absolutely, and welcome, Mr.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Asberry L and Solel International for putting this together.
Yeah, and I did have a couple of questions for you as it relates to your involvement with the Northwood Manor Civic Club. Really, if you could provide your origin story in terms of your engagement with the Civic Club and kind of how you navigated disaster preparedness, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, so in some of our oldest neighborhoods, we don't have HOAs, and so those communities that may still have deed restrictions and things like that, neighbors come together and form things called civic clubs to not only voice their issues and concerns to bring them to resolution, but also, the civics, so your rights, exercising your rights to vote, understanding who represents you and things like that to make sure that your community gets its due share. And so I'm the president of Northwood Manor Civic Club. Our neighborhood was started in the late 1950s, has over about 2,000 homes and or lots, and comprises maybe 4,000 or so residents in Northeast Houston.
All right, thank you for that. I did have a couple of other questions for you. Again, thank you for your engagement. I really want to focus on the grassroots level work that community organizations like yours are engaged in. So, as it relates to the city recognizing grassroots efforts, how important is that, even if it doesn't come with financial support? I mean, we know financial support is important for these initiatives, but in terms of the recognition, what does that look like? What does it look like when it's not financial? Are there areas of recognition that can be given, or areas of support outside of it?
Yes, so the most basic level of grassroots would be neighbors coming together, pitching in, trying to work with each other to fill in the gaps that your local government isn't either able to address or isn't aware of to address. And so, for us, when it comes to resiliency and really meeting those disparities and gaps, it's come together through civic clubs or community organizations, making sure that everyone's aware and has information, knowing where to go to get resources, but also advocating. And when the sun is out and the sky is blue, advocating for what you need ahead of time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And I wanted to move a little bit more into how we move forward given this landscape, given where we are and where we want to be as a community. And so this question is to Oliver. So to folks watching who want to be proactive what's a good first step in terms of resources that you point to for them as they get prepared, right? Like you spoke about a lot of things that they can do at an individual level, maybe at a community level, but what's the first step in your eyes?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, my home book, the service that I have, addresses 4 different things. Number 1, empowering homeowners with the knowledge of their house to be able to recover quicker and avoid contractor fraud, which is a $9 billion travesty in the United States annually. That's number 1. The second thing, based on my experience with going through Harvey, was being able to have an inventory of all of our items in the home, all of our personal items. Insurance definitely didn't give us everything that we needed to be able to recover 100%. And so we're telling homeowners exactly like the president said over here, you know, when the sun is shining, that's when you should be doing all these proactive steps. So take an inventory of all the items in your home. The third thing that we did at my home book services was we got 50 of the items every single household needs before, during, and after a storm. So create a little nook in your garage and begin getting small things like first aid kits and the power banks and emergency light bulbs and the fireproof and the waterproof matches and all of those other things. Get all those things ready and prepared when the sun is shining, because we know in Houston the sun ain't gonna be shining every single day. And the fourth thing is a very practical thing that I try to tell homeowners to do is, no matter how organized you think you are, when your house is coming underwater, you're gonna be shaken. So we have an area on our website which is completely free, where we're encouraging homeowners upload things like your homeowner's insurance, your flood insurance, upload things like your home warranty information, anything pertaining to your house at that time, put it all in one spot that's easily accessible by you. So by having these things in place, it's going to help homeowners be proactive when the sun is shining and be able to react properly when the sun isn't and the rain is coming down.
No, I think those are great steps. Thank you again, Aaron, and just giving us those practical first steps that homeowners can take to kind of navigate these situations that are going to continue. And so before we close, I wanted to open this question to our entire panel. Okay, this has to do more so with advice that you could leave individuals in our audience as they prepare for future disasters. Now, some folks might feel overwhelmed as we move through hurricane season, and then even in the future, right? This could be a mild summer, but we know that one disaster could drastically change everybody's lives, right? So if there's one thing you could leave those folks that are viewing that may seem overwhelmed with hearing all of this information, what's one thing you would leave them with?
Well, I just want to say, in regards to that, I want to say that this disaster preparedness plan is what we're leaving. It's about being proactive. It's also a living document as well. We just had a donor who donated some capital to the plan, and we're looking for the city and the county and whoever else to do just that, because it starts with Northwood Manor, and Northwood Manor is a pilot, but it is a pilot to create other pilots. So that way the whole of Houston and even the whole of Texas could be on the up and up when it comes to disaster.
Just being able to see everything that Danny's doing over here, it really compelled us to be able to say, yeah, our services will be discounted at my home book, especially those who are at the Northwood Manor. I would love to talk to them to see how we could work together to get that one community completely prepared, to be able to be prepared for whatever's coming. Normally, what accompanies storms and the watches and the warnings that are coming is a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear. And there's absolutely nothing that could take that completely away. But one of the things that could begin to lessen the anxiety and lessen the fear is knowing that you've done everything that you can do to be proactive. The rest of it, we just leave in the Lord's hands. There are some things that we cannot control, but let's do the things that we can do that are in our power to control. And then after you've done after you've done everything that you can, then you just kind of leave the rest in God's hands. So I'll be very happy to talk to people who are listening here on this show, on this panel, and to those in Northwood about the services that we offer and what we could do to continue to be proactive in helping those communities.
Wonderful.
So if I may, and I'll piggyback off of what Mr. Oliver said, it's about relationships. Build those relationships ahead of time with your neighbors. Start with your neighbors. Typically, I know that people in Houston, the greater Houston area, those that work outside of their home, they leave home, they come right back to their home, and they don't really associate with their next door neighbors. I mean, get to know your neighbors. Look out for one another. We are Houston strong, we're Houston proud, and it doesn't need to take a disaster for us to come together. But also meeting people that have done the work, like Mr. Oliver, like Mr. Asberry L. Branch out. Understand who your elected officials are. As long as your voice still works and your vote still matters. So you want to make sure that you participate in government, voting, letting them understand what your issues are and how they are to address them by working with you. It should be a dialogue with you and your community members. Rinse and repeat. So be encouraged. I'll leave you with some of the same. None of the storms that we have faced in Houston have affected us in the same way. And so you can plan all you want and God laughs. But just do what you can so that you can be flexible when the worst happens and you'll be resilient. You'll get back up and just keep prayed up. Thank you.
That's a word. Thank you all for your insights, your dedication to this city and the city's future. Right? I think with initiatives like the 12-step plan and tools like My Home Book, as well as really going out there and connecting with people that live right beside you, that may stand next to you. I think those are all ideas, steps, tools that we can get behind. So again, gentlemen, I appreciate you taking the time to meet and share your insights. And I think that we're in a better place. We're better positioned to do all that we can to be as prepared as we can. So,
thank you. To Houston's RedeemTheLight.com campaign. We're here to make sure that you all know that grit alone won't get it. It's going to take communication, it's going to take togetherness, it's going to take relationships, it's going to take more to be proactive. This season, we will do more. We are doing more. Redeem the light. Peace.